Right, right. So, what happened in the Koberger case pretty much follows the line of what you had said. They started with trying the STR, running it through the CODIS database. They got no hits. And that would typically be someone who is already in the database because they've already been convicted or because DNA has already been gathered from a crime scene. So all that means is that person had never had their DNA gathered from a crime scene and had never been convicted of a crime. So their DNA was not in the database. So then the state moved to exactly what you're talking about. They moved to using the investigative genetic genealogy and trying the SNP method. Now, they had the SNP made at an outside lab. That may not be the right word.
Right, and that's because, as I mentioned, none of the crime labs yet have the capability to create a SNP profile. So they have to send it to a third-party private lab. That's the only choice right now. I'm sure that will change in the future, where law enforcement will start having their own technology and equipment to do this. But at this point, that hasn't happened yet.
Right. You now have the case. You have the files that you need. What are you going to do next to try to figure out whose DNA was present at the scene?
So I just want to make a note about the Koberger case. A couple of things. One, I absolutely think the authorities did the right thing, moving immediately to investigative genetic genealogy when they didn't get that hit in CODIS. That is what I've been advocating for, because that's where we can have the biggest impact on public safety and make the most difference. We can potentially save lives and certainly keep these cases from going on for years and decades, like so many of the cases that I've been involved in. They did send it out to a third-party lab because they had to, but then it came back in-house. The FBI investigative genetic genealogy team are the ones that did the research.
The FBI investigative genetic genealogy team are the ones that did the research.
The FBI investigative genetic genealogy team are the ones that did the research. So the only part of it that was farmed out to a private lab or to a third party was just that analysis where they took the DNA, created the SNP profile, and then it came back to law enforcement themselves to do the research. And that's not always the case, because I've worked on hundreds of cases as an outsider. But I think that this will start being done increasingly by in-house law enforcement officials. And we've already seen that some with FBI teams that are working around the country.
Okay.